Today we're going to create something that I look forward to doing every year. We're going to build a bumblebee house. But before we get into the house construction, let's talk about the life cycle of bumblebees because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And bumblebees are not only important pollinators for crops like tomatoes and blueberries, they just happen to be one of my most favorite creatures. A bumblebee house is easy to build, which makes it a perfect project for nature lovers of all ages. So bumblebees are social, like honeybees, in that they have a queen and they have workers. But unlike honeybees, bumblebee colonies are small, maybe a couple hundred individuals as opposed to thousands. And the colony starts over every year. So here's what happens. In the spring, a queen that's been hibernating over the winter emerges and starts flying around, looking for maybe like a good nesting area. Now, for most bumblebee species, a good nesting area might be underground, say in moss in a forest, in an abandoned mouse nest, a woodpile, or, hey, a nesting box. We'll get into that in a moment. Now, finding the ideal spot to raise a family can take a couple weeks, which means our bumblebee queen is homeless, but once she finds a suitable nesting area, she'll get right into spring cleaning and start foraging for pollen and nectar and start her new colony. She begins laying eggs she mated last summer before going into hibernation and stored that sperm for this purpose. Now, when the new bees emerge from the eggs as adults, these female bees take on the role of the queen's workers. So from that point on, our queen remains in the nest, and the workers go out to find nectar and pollen and continue to build the colony throughout the summer. Then, in late summer or early fall, this colony makes new queens as next year's generation. These new queens will emerge, mate in midair, and then find a place to hibernate over the winter. Meanwhile, the remaining workers and the previous queen, having lived all summer, right? They will die before the cold weather sets in. So that's the basic life cycle of bumblebees. So knowing that, we'll try our best to design and build a bumblebee house to fit with this natural cycle. And be sure to stick around to the end because during this video, I'll be sharing some methods that I've learned over the years that has dramatically increased the occupancy rate to, say, like 50% or more, which is exciting because considering the average normal occupancy rate is something like 10% or less. This is what we want to see. So making a bumblebee house is a pretty easy process, even if you don't have the best carpentry skills. I've made a set of plans and instructions, which you can find in the description below and download from there. You can use any kind of wood, plywood, fencing material, even wood from wood pallets. Today we're going to make a 2-room bumblebee house. I'll give you a tour. The bumblebees will climb through this round hole and enter a small front room called the vestibule. This is like a mud room that you have in your house. Now in Alaska we call it the Arctic entry. It's the entryway in your house, right? Where you come in, you take off your shoes. In the bumblebee's case, she will clean herself off and defecate or poop in the vestibule before entering the larger nesting chamber. In a 1-room bumblebee house like this one, that you You can see the front porch where the workers have actually wiped their feet and pooped before entering the nesting chamber. Okay, let's build a bumblebee house. After completing your bumblebee house, you'll need to add ventilation holes. Otherwise, the interior can get too hot and become too humid, which can be deadly to bees. That's why the bee you see here is standing on the front porch, frantically fanning her wings to increase air circulation inside. You'll also need to fill the nesting chamber at least halfway full with a fluffy material like cotton batting or dried and shredded sphagnum moss or animal fur or hair. Because unlike birds, bumblebees don't have the ability to carry materials to their nest. As for painting the outside, you can leave the wood as it is or jazz it up a little. I'm experimenting with painting them with white latex paint, thinking it might help keep things cooler on sunny days. For finishing touches on the front, it's more fun than anything. After all, it is a house, right? But the goal is to entice the bumblebee queens to set up housekeeping. Now, over the years, I've played with, oh, say, different colors and patterns, and I have found that bright colors, especially yellow and orange and white, and strong lines and geometric shapes seem to attract the most number of queen bees. So get creative and see what works best for you or her, right? When your bumblebee house is finished, it's time to set it outside. Again, you'll want to experiment. Place it on the ground, near a tree, or by a fence, or a row of shrubs in the garden. You can support it on concrete blocks or set it in a woodpile. Try to pick a location that is warm and dry, preferably south-facing, but shaded from direct sunlight. Set a roof on the top of your nesting box. Add a piano hinge if you like, so that it's sheltered from heavy rain and strong wind and snow, and you get the idea. Well, and yeah, don't forget bright light. Bumblebees prefer darkness, or at least minimal light. If necessary, place a rock on top of the roof so that it can't be carried off or blown away. Now visit your nesting box often to watch for activity, coming and going, right? But avoid the temptation, though, to open the box lid. This can disturb nesting activity for sure. And although bumblebees rarely sting, like male bumblebees, by the way, don't even have stingers, they do sting. It might take a season or two to find a spot that attracts queen bumblebees, but don't give up. Keep trying. Meanwhile, enjoy watching and taking pictures and movies of bumblebees. Speaking of movies, try the slow-mo feature on your smartphone. It's awesome. Thank you for watching. Remember, in the description below, you'll find some fun facts about bumblebees, books, resources, other videos, and organizations that support these wonderful furry insects. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the garden. Cheers!